More time, or we're doing longer days or longer school days. Simply put, having more hours in the day devoted to a classroom activity means having more time to be spent on schoolwork. With more hours of class comes increased potential for covering more subjects. In addition, every subject can be given more time and students can take the content at a slower pace. The advantage of having more time is that students can ask questions, work on problems, and come out of the classroom experience and better educated. If the purpose of education is learning is augmented by immediate questions and answers. The Socratic method of teaching. After school hours can be rolled into the class itself, eliminating the need for people to seek teachers after school is over. The longer day, no homework approach. Homework is an interesting concept. Doing schoolwork outside of school means having an opportunity to consume the lesson outside of the classroom. Challenge, however, is that not everyone has the time, materials, inclination, or correct habits to do work successfully. The students will begin to fall behind in the educational process because they cannot keep up with the rest of the class. By making the day longer, homework can be tied in to the day, making it unnecessary. While students may have less free time in the day, they will not have to worry about doing work once they are let out for the day. A major problem caused by education systems that let out before parents get off work. This means that parents are left to find things for their children to do until the parents come home. With a longer school day, the amount of time between when parents come home and children get off to school shrinks. This means that there's less time for children to get into trouble, reducing the risk of being on their own. Many after school and before school activities also provide children with necessary things. Before school lunch programs provide kids with food so they do not go through the school day hungry. After school activities provide meals and activities that keep kids engaged and on the right track for continuing their education. With a longer school day, these activities can be directly tied into school, making it easier for children to get the resources they need and education they desire. Learning is a function of school, and longer hours is functioning of learning. Cross-apply the South Korean miracle.
He wants to simplify, read the first, second, third points again so they can understand what. Just the first, tag the black part first and go.
Yeah. The first point was more time to do work in the classroom. The second point was the longer day, no homework approach. And our third point was better child supervision.
Your turn.
Increasing the learning of students would be incredible. Many students leave high school without a full handle on the knowledge they'll need in the real world. Theoretically, increasing the length of the school day could accomplish this goal. More time equals more learning. Realistically, though, this is drastically incorrect and would be a terrible idea. Results of this change would be much more negative than positive. First, costs of running a school would rise dramatically. Second, students would lose time for extracurricular activities, keeping them from being balanced and well-rounded. And finally, students would lose hours of sleep, which would severely harm their physical health. All these effects of such a change would be detrimental to a student's life, which is already tough as is. These reasons are why we propose you vote for the opposition against the extension of the school day. Even a small increase in the length of the school day drastically increases costs to a school, which many public education systems cannot afford. Studies show that for just a 10% increase in time, schools would need to increase their budgets by 6 to 7%, and this does not even include additional money for electricity, maintenance, and other utilities costs, which can be more difficult to predict and estimate. For our school, that would result in an almost $2 million increase, and that's just for teacher and staff salaries. Where is this money supposed to come from? Given that 91% of American students go to public schools, the vast majority of this money would come from American taxpayers. Is this really the best use of their money when our country is already $19.5 trillion in debt? Costs of increasing the school day would not only include compensation for teachers and staff, but also maintenance, lighting, heating, etc. This extra cost is not the most effective use of money when there are many other options for increasing learning and the quality of education. In addition to monetary consequences of extending the school day, there are also time restrictions. Extending the school day by even an hour or two would wreak havoc on after-school activities such as sports and dance lessons. High schools in particular, often fill up the time after school with football, basketball, and other team practices. Clubs such as drama, math league, and other groups use that time to practice. Add that to tutoring and after-school jobs, and you have a lot of important, enriching activities that would suddenly be unavailable to students after school. Although education is obviously important, students should lead a well-rounded life. Doing after-school activities has been shown by a multitude of studies to increase self-esteem, time management skills, relationship skills, teamwork, and many more. Students should not spend their entire young lives sitting at a desk studying. They need other activities to keep them happy and balanced, which an extended school day would prevent. Taking away these opportunities would have a majorly detrimental effect on the mental health and life skills of students, an effect which is just not worth it. Not only would an increased school day cause negative effects on the mental health of students, but also on their physical health. More time in school means less time to do everything else, including sleeping. Teens need about 8 to 10 hours of sleep each night to function best. Most teens already do not get enough sleep. One study found that only 15% reported sleeping 8.5 hours on school nights. Longer school days would push this back even further and cause a further diminished quantity of sleep, harming students greatly. When you are sleep deprived, you are as impaired as driving with a blood alcohol content of 0.8%, which is illegal for drivers in many states. Drowsy driving causes over 100,000 crashes each year. Given that many high school students drive themselves to and from school, sleep deprivation would be incredibly dangerous. In addition, sitting for long periods of time is incredibly harmful to your body. When you sit for a long period of time, your muscles burn less fat and your blood begins to flow slowly, allowing fatty acids to easily clog your heart. Extended periods of sitting can also increase risk of type 2 diabetes, breast, colon, and endometrial cancer, not to mention muscle atrophy. Lengthening the school day would only increase the amount of time spent sitting, leading to further negative physical effects. Not only is there a multitude of negative effects on extending the school day, but it is also simply not the solution to our country's education problems. Research clearly does not support longer hours spent in school, according to the Chicago Tribune, which reports that not a single study has linked improved student performances to longer school days. Although some schools with longer school days do show higher test scores, it is difficult to link the test scores directly to more hours of instruction because there are many other variables. For example, students in private schools or in affluent school districts usually receive more parental support at home, according to the same article. Extending school day seems like a good idea to fix any problems we have with education, but it is simply not the best solution. Studies show that approximately only a third of the time students spend in school is used efficiently. If administrations focus on the quality of time in school rather than the quantity, that would likely solve a lot of our issues. Other students will be overlooked if legislators simply extend the school day rather than getting to the root of the problems of student achievement, which include poverty, student behavior, a lack of resources in the classroom, and learning disabilities, none of which can easily be solved with longer school days. Between the obviously negative effects of lengthened school days and other possible solutions to education problems, it is clear that simply extending the school day is a bad idea. With increased costs, decreased mental and physical health, and the thievery of time that could be used for enriching activities, sleep, or other positive pastimes, it is blatantly obvious that the extension of the school day is wrong and would do more harm than good.
Okay.
Do I need to clarify my points?
Yes, please.
Okay, my main points were that it has negative physical effects, including loss of sleep and sitting time, and then it would increase costs to school districts, and it would take time away from other activities.
Okay. If it is an investment in our future, the first one? Oh, is education investment in our future?
Yes.
Second one? Okay. If it is, then why shouldn't we invest in our future?
We should invest in a smart way. Extending the school day isn't the best solution to that problem.
Move on to the next speech, or we good?
Are we good to move on to the next speech?
Last question. Dance and extracurricular is part of school, correct?
What?
Activities is part of school, correct?
Just say we're having a little bit of trouble.
We're having trouble hearing you guys. Can you speak?
Okay. Can dance and extracurricular activities be part of school?
Can they be present?
Can they? Like, I wouldn't include that in classes.
They can be included, correct?
They're after
We're talking about after school activities, including sports, which isn't really part of the school day.
If we extend the school days, it can be incorporated in school, correct?
It could be, but it wouldn't be the most effective way to do those things. It's better to do things as opposed to being forced to do it in school. You should be able to choose the after-school activities you like.
So that's a yes, correct?
Yes.
I suppose so.
It could, but it's not the most effective way.
And after school jobs can be incorporated in school, correct?
No, that's a
Jobs
no.
can't, no.
Because you can't get paid for going to school, and after school jobs include pay.
Here in Texas, we get on credits for jobs.
What?
They get credits for jobs we don't. Our kids are, it's extra, it's money for whatever.
In Massachusetts, that's not the way it works.
Okay.
It's just like not relevant.
But there's other states outside of Massachusetts, correct?
Correct. I would agree with that statement. Are there any other questions?
No further questions. We're going to move on to our second speech.
All right, great.
Questions?
Do you have any questions for them, Kim?
Nope, we're good.
Time may be spent for you. Generally speaking, there's a lot of pushback from the educational community regarding the standardizing testing, which teaches and tests are push testing, not actively helping kids with what they know or adding to the lesson. So that more hours spent at school will leave more time spent on generating wasteful activities. Cross apply to the fact that what is wasteful and is the standardizing test itself and the money spent on it. If we spend the money on more teachers and supplies, we could produce better results. In fact, learning what far greater and more that's is not what we are supposed to learn. It's what we are supposed to measure what we learn. For results in the U.S. fails. It's classified 40 years of lab test results under this method and compare it with South Korea. Remove the opportunity to play and enjoy their own past. Where do you?
Mr. Cunningham, when you speak, you're much clearer.
Yeah, I'll try to move a little bit closer. Okay, go ahead. Dante, why don't you just grab his speech so you can let Dante read it? Okay, we'll start out. Dante read it. Read the first points.
Just read it. All right.
Just reread the
I'm
whole.
gonna start over. So the first point is time may be spent poorly. Generally speaking, there's a lot of pushback from educational community regarding standardized testing. Pushed on teachers as well as testing, not actively helping kids with what they know, adding to the lesson plan. There is a concern that more hours spent at school will be more time spent on generating wasteful activities. On the fact that what is wasteful is the standardized test itself and the money spent on it. If we spend the money, more teachers and supplies, we produce better results. More integrated when we did not teach towards the test. The test is not what we are supposed to learn. It is with the U.S. Philadelphia students. Also, about 40 years of flat test results under this. Play and enjoy youth.
We think the sound's cutting out. I don't know if we're not hearing everything you guys are saying.
Want us to move this up a little?
Yeah, move to.
I guess.
We're new at this. This is our first time, so.
Go.
All right, the second point.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
All right, removes the opportunity to play and enjoy youth. Work, new partners, memories of youth affair. The United States are creating a playground for our own self-destruction. The biggest weapon of mass destruction today is escapation of time bomb, which is creating unmotivated. The third one is cost additional money and time. However, what are the costs of the society run by products that would fail as businesses? A lost mind in that, but a lost generation is.
Yeah. Mr. Cunningham, your audio is definitely kind of cutting out a little. Like it goes to very, very, very low where we can't even hear it. We can see your lips. Everything's moving in great time, but the audio is definitely not coming.
Let me, if you can hear my voice, let me just have the thing, and I'll just try to give you the general part of it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. They had. Okay, sorry. They had 4 points to counter yours. One was that I think one of your arguments generally was about time management, and they were saying that time management may be spent poorly, but the problem is our current system under the status quo is set up towards standardized testing, and we're saying that that is wasteful, and then under a longer period of time, they would have shorter periods, even though you have longer, and you would do away with the testing, we go back to the old way of educating people. And then they said cross-apply 40 years of test results under this method have been flat, SAT scores in particular, and compare that to what's happening in South Korea where they're going to cram schools and hagwons and different things like that. Also cross-apply the fact that, and I believe in western part of Massachusetts, you have several under a federal grant from 2012 that have gone to extended day, and extended a day from 7 to 1 to 7 to 4:30, and have 265% increase from 2006 to 2012 on your test scores. Number two, removes the opportunity to play and enjoy youth. The argument is that, you know, your youth, you need to have sleep, all this kind of stuff like that. Deontay was trying to tell you that the fondest memories that we occur are normally when we think about high school. Cross-apply the fact that most of the time the biggest weapon, we are in the classroom. Is school a place for play, or is it a place where we should be creating a playground for our own self-destruction? The biggest weapon of mass destruction today is the education time bomb, which is creating lazy, unmotivated, and undermotivated students are failing to learn. Number three, cost. I think that was one of the first or second points that you had. A longer day does not necessarily mean increased cost if you think a cost being part of a funding situation being an investment. What's the cost of our society if a product is a failed education system? Today, it costs approximately over $60,000 to keep a person incarcerated in jail each year, and you could send somebody to Harvard for about the same amount of money. Can you compare the two results? If so, which is greater? A lost mind is bad, but a lost generation is devastating. Number four, does not address the real problems. While many people think that there's a great many problems in school today, and we agree, the greatest problem of which is that all our knowledge and technology, our educational system is failing simply because we're not putting enough time and effort into it. If you like something, you will do it. The more you enjoy it more, and you'll love doing it. Ask any typical high school student in the United States if they like school. The answer will be shocking and a resounding no. More time in school filled with a new curriculum, not teaching to mindless standardized tests, would create the need for climate that needs to be changed, and that's why we say you need to vote pro.
They're just gonna take a minute to,
Okay. No problem.
thank you, that was very helpful.
That's not our class. Correct. We're yes. High school sucks. High school sucks.
All right, guys, ready? Yeah.
Are you guys ready?
Go ahead.
Okay. So my opponents say that longer school days should provide that they could provide break periods where we could do like sports and other activities that we would be able to do after school. But not everyone would be able to do the things that they do now. Like, I'm a dancer and I spend at least 20 hours a week at my dance studio, and saying that the fondest memories are made in high school is, I guess, correct for some people, but not everyone, because when I look back at high school, I'm going to remember my dance studio and like everything that they've done for me. So that would be something that I wouldn't be able to have anymore. In my school, we already have break periods, and not everyone or barely anyone uses them for what they're meant for. Therefore, giving children longer break times would increase the likeliness for them to slack off and fool around. Creating longer school days would increase the taxes in town because you have to increase the pay of teachers and faculty. And not only would the taxes increase, but the teachers aren't necessarily okay with staying longer. They might have picked teaching so that they are able to spend time with their families, and making them stay longer will decrease their time spent at home. My opponents may say that longer school days would increase academic success because there would be longer time for learning. And there's evidence that longer school days don't guarantee academic success. Kids in the United States spend 243 more hours in school than kids in Asia and other countries. Those kids continuously score higher than kids in the United States. Increasing the school day would make kids in the United States go to school at least 500 more hours than other kids. And we are still convinced that it would help the U.S. increase our test scores. Students would get increasingly more tired throughout the day, leaving the students unattentive, tired, and burned out. Longer school days and increased classes would also increase the homework load on students. And my opponents say that it would decrease homework, but more classes, more tests, more things to study for would just increase everything they have to do after school, making extracurricular activities even less likely to do. Coming up with new curriculums would benefit our side, because if we kept the same amount of time and refocused what we were trying to work on in school, then our time could be used more efficiently instead of just making it longer to try and change everything. The effort that we're putting into it should be with our new curriculums, not in longer time. And doing away with standardized testing wouldn't have anything to do with the length of the day. That would just benefit what we're trying to say with changing the curriculum and how we spend our time, not adding more time to change what we're working on. And those who do their homework would struggle even more to get it done, because some kids can barely get it done now. The amount of time kids would be spending on their homework and trying to fit in extracurricular activities would end up decreasing the sleep, like Marie said, but it would also decrease what they're able to do after school, like spending time with friends or doing things like dance. My opponents may say that students would still have time for extracurricular activities because you could put it in school. But not everyone in the school would be benefited by this.
Do you have any questions?
Count to ask the question.
You
Say it again.
We didn't hear any of that. Can you please?
Okay, I'll say it a little bit louder. Dante asked, is that your dance that you said you have for 20 hours over the 5 days a week? Could you not incorporate that into an academic class and have it credited for you on a transcript in high school? Yes or no?
Well, I'm on a competitive dance team, and
Yeah.
not everyone on my dance team goes to my school.
But I understand that, but if you are going to, let's say you go to a dance studio, and that dance studio may have 6 or 7 different feeder high schools, correct?
Yes.
Did they not give you credit for what you were doing and give them to each of the high schools and go backwards? That's what they do. Like in Korea, they go to like cram schools, and people go to cram schools for 3 or hagwons, and they go to school for 3 or 4 hours afterwards. They pay for instruction, but they still get credit for that. That could be part of a new class day, correct?
My point isn't that I'm not getting credit for dance. My point is that I wouldn't be able to dance as much as I do now.
You would, in a point, because it will be counted as part of the school day, so you have more time. Don't count as.
But if we change the school day, then I would have to quit dance, the dance that I do now, and switch to school, and I wouldn't want to do that. So that would make students do things that they don't want to do, which is my point. I don't know.
No audio.
Okay, like I was saying, it would be part of the school time, so it wouldn't at all. Actually,
Well, adding it, like, if you're saying that the dance she does outside of school would be counted for credit, then that's not really considered part of the school day. But if you're saying that it would be included in the school day, then it's constricting her to her high school, which keeps her from branching out.
but didn't she say it was part of this high school before?
No, she dances outside of our high school. It's not a related team.
Yeah, it's a separate studio.
Okay, but we have people that play club soccer here. Now they play club soccer, and they may spend 20 hours doing club soccer a week, like you do 20 hours dance. If you included it as let's say that the school day went from 7 in the morning till 7 in the evening, for example, and then you got out your dance studio at 7 in the evening, and you got out of school at 4 o'clock, and you did 3 hours of dance every single day. That could still be part of your particular individual education plan, could it not?
Well, but you can't include club soccer or dance or whatever you want to define this as. You can't include that if you're doing it with people not from your own school, because you're doing it with your friends and you're allowing yourself to branch out and meet new people and have new experiences that you wouldn't have if you were just doing it with the same 200 kids that you would be doing normal classes with at school.
And these are private organizations.
Right, but if what Marco is trying to say to you a while ago, we get accredited by Texas Education Agency. The Texas Education Agency can credit private organizations to deliver things after school for credit. Like the YMCA could teach art or whatever, that type of thing, if it meets the standards of the education system. And under that auspices, could that not be part of your school day, is what they were trying to say.
So can we establish the parameters of what we're including in the school day? Because I believe we considered anything done outside of school as not part of the school day, but you're saying like if you get credit for it, then it's considered part of the school day.
Yeah, what's crazy here in Texas is that Deontay plays basketball, and he actually has a basketball course in the middle of the school day. Okay? We have dance and a dance class in the middle of the school day. So we have many of our after-school activities as regular classes. Our extracurriculars are actually regular classes.
But can you take those extracurriculars with students from other schools? So, because if you can't branch out and meet new people that you wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah, he still plays basketball outside of school. We're just saying is if you can do it inside of school, outside part of school can still be taking credit. Like we offer credits from ACC, and then they would take it at the AC or our junior college campus, and they go into classes with other kids outside of our high school, and they're still getting high school and college credit.
Okay, we just weren't clear on the fact that Texas had this policy because other states don't.
Yeah, that's probably where we're a little under. You know how Texas is with sports. I think we got a third speech here, and Deonta, you got.
Right now, I'm gonna address my point. Oh.
You're doing the consolidation and rationale, right?
Yeah, we're going to try to just consolidate because of time. Let me try to do it because they're having trouble with it. Their arguments were that never really addressed the points that we were trying to discuss. And there's three logical fallacies. One is, I think we're going to a cause and effect problem here. We were saying that the cause of many of our problems was this standardized testing. And standardized testing in a shorter day with the majority of the time dependent on tests is causing our students to be bored. And that we went to longer periods of days, we could include the activities that you were more interested in, and it would end up being it would turn your argument and be to our advantage. Slippery slope, we tried to argue that longer school days would result in a problem. However, what we're trying to say is it's not a cost problem, it's actually investment. Cross-apply the fact that it costs about $60,000 a year for incarcerating people. So if we could save on people going to jail, it'd be better to invest several $1,000s extra on their education than it would to pay. So long run, you actually save money. The last one is the results of the data are complete in this area. In South Korea, one of the leading world countries in education, the average student will go to high school from 7 o'clock in the morning till 4, and then go to a cram or a Hagwon school from 5 to 8 to 10 or 11, 5 days a week. They either go on a 3-hour, a 4-hour, or a 5-hour period of time. On Saturdays, they would go to the Hagwon from 8 to 4, and then every other Sunday they would go from 8 to 4. Overall, it equals to about 250 school days a year compared to about 160 days in the United States. This would put as a tradition that they would have over 5,000 hours of high school compared to around 3,175 hours for the United States. This amounts to a little over 70% extra time for a student in South Korea. We're not advocating that the people in South Korea are any smarter. We're just saying that the more time on task is actually more helpful, because in 2012 standardized testing, they came out first, second, and sixth in 3 indicators on reading, writing, and mathematics, as opposed to 120 schools, 120 countries around the world. The United States scored no higher than 45th. So we're saying that longer schools would actually do better, and that's what their proposal was.
Just wrap up your sentences.
Let's just ask them some questions.
Go ahead. Should I go? Schools are probably the most important part of our society. It educates the students who become the future of our world. The future lawyers, politicians, doctors, and scientists that solve the problems of tomorrow. Because of that, it's important that we do things right. The government side argues that in order to do things right when it comes to school, we need longer days. It's a logical idea in theory, right? more time should equal more learning. But in reality, longer days will hurt our students more than they will help. First, it hurts students' physical and mental health. Because of that extra time, they can't do other things, such as sports. They can't do those things as much as they would like, at least. So that hurts their physical health. They can't sleep as much, which hurts their mental health. And if we had a longer school day, it would increase the stress that students would be under, which also stress is linked to many, many different types of mental problems. Expanding the school day would also be expensive. It would require at least 6 to 7% to be added on to each school's budget, which just isn't possible for smaller schools that already have thin budgets. If you're saying that costs should be used for education as an investment, we should be making smart investments as opposed to just throwing money at problems. In general, throwing money at problems isn't the best solution. We have to use it in the right way. That money shouldn't be used just to purely add on to the school day. It should be used for increasing the things that we do and the things that we know work. One more thing. And then about your South Korea point, another country that spends more time in school than us is Italy, but they score significantly lower than other countries such as Finland. And Finland is one of the top countries in the world when it comes to education. But they actually spend less time in school than us, and they have among the best schools and the best scores on national tests. So essentially, this debate comes down to two sides. The government's idea is good in theory, but it just won't work well in practice. Our argument, keeping the school day the current length and instead improving the quality of instruction, will work in practice. It will allow our students to branch out better and focus on the things that they will need in the future, as opposed to being forced to things that they don't like and being forced to be held in school. For that reason, I urge you to vote for the opposition.
That was really interesting. Can we take some questions a second? Because we just woke up this morning and realized that schools are totally different in different parts of the country. What time do you start school?
What time do we start school?
8:04.
Okay, and what time do you end?
2:31.
Wow. You're not going to believe us. We start at what time? Yeah, we start at 8:30 and we end up at 4 o'clock.
Doesn't Massachusetts have the best scores
We're not
nationally?
debating.
No, I'm just saying that.
No, we're gonna stop.
Yeah.
No, we're not debating. Don't listen to him.
Okay.
Okay,
No, we're still going. No, he was just asking questions. He was just asking questions.
okay. Unfortunately, I know you are correct on your scores, okay? Yeah.
We're trying to make the point.
We're about done, I believe. And if I understand correctly,
But
I'm the teacher, and I have a whole class behind me that's watching as well. So he thought we were still going, so I apologize for that. I'm under the impression you were just asking some clarification questions. I don't know how much longer you have. We have about a half an hour, but I do have other things I need to do with them if you need to go. But thank you, and I don't know if you have any other questions, and I apologize for saying.
no problem. We'll talk to you later. Thank you.